Vlogging isn't just about being on YouTube, learning to create content and build an audience. It's also a spiritual journey where you burn through things like worthiness blocks, rediscovering your authentic voice, and content that's maybe a bit different from the programming given to you since birth. On yet another level, you're going deeper with concepts and realizations that you share. In this video, I'm going to share some different ideas on how vlogging is a lot more than you might think it is, and much more worthy to do, even if your ultimate goal isn't even being on YouTube in the first place. Now, there's a huge amount of growth in the creator economy, and everybody talks about it. I mean, just listen to these projections. The creator economy is expected to reach 480 billion by 2028. The real sting of all this, though, is that on YouTube, the amount of creators that are actually going full-time is very, very small. According to Fortune, 96.5% of all those trying to become YouTubers won't make enough money off of advertising to crack the US poverty line. So that gives you an idea. Creator economy booming, but most don't make it. So why even bother, right? Because you win being on YouTube on several different levels, regardless of how much initial money you do or don't make. When you realize that YouTube is a vehicle for growth and learning, everything about the standard equation and reason for creating videos in the first place completely changes. If you were alive here on this planet just to pay the bills, then yeah, YouTube may not be your best choice. In fact, it's better to have an existing business and then you use YouTube to enhance that business rather than seeing creating content for YouTube as a business. Sure, it can be done, yet it's not the norm. But there are a growing number of people realizing there's a lot more to life. And with YouTube, you can start realizing the other reasons for being on YouTube right away. Personally, I find YouTube to offer me a lot of different ways to burn through some things, like being comfortable on camera, actualizing my authentic voice rather than some of the programming that I've had in me since birth. And I think that it's there to do the same for a lot more people. Really though, it's just about embracing all the different obstacles as a tool to burn through some of the subconscious blocks that you have inside of you. The obstacles that you run up against while creating content on YouTube, especially with vlogging, well, those are going to help you get a bit further and actualize things in your life well beyond YouTube itself. Yeah. So it's the process. I love the process because it burns through different things. I get to realize different things. So it's not just the output. And that's why I think it can enhance a spiritual journey, because you have certain triggers that you'll come upon. And when you come upon those triggers, you move through the emotions, you let them go. And it allows you to intentionally, the obstacles of the way. And that means intentionally moving through the different obstacles. Instead of waiting for the universe to bring these obstacles to you, you end up burning through them intentionally. The thing that is, vlogging outside can be really annoying because you got all kinds of factors, like a slight bit of wind just picked up as I started this whole thing, and you got noises, there's motorboats in this lake that I'm against, there's walkers going by and everything like that. But what I find about being outside is sometimes you can find all kinds of different b-roll that you might not otherwise. It gets you to be more creative. And the things that are annoying, like a boat that's motoring by, can actually become part of your b-roll. Or you find different sections on a trail, or let's say you're walking through a busy area and suddenly you come upon some music, and that becomes a part of your whole video. It's one of those things that it allows you to expand your creativity in many magical ways that you wouldn't expect. It's just a matter of adjusting your mindset to flowing with whatever comes up in front of you and thinking about different ways to use it. It also alters your mind to start thinking about shots instead of just what you're saying and just being on camera. You start to think about, wait, how can I show this? And suddenly it becomes more about the video than about you being on the video. And that is liberating. This squirrel dude really doesn't like me here. But check this out. This place is so cool. It's got a different volcanic rock here. You're not supposed to take any of it, which I obviously won't. But it's funny, it does disappear though. I've seen a lot more in previous years. But they've got a sign that, I'll show you in a little bit, the sign. But the rocks are so cool. It's like this leftover volcanic rock. It's so cool to look at, And this is what I'm talking about. When you can come along and see stuff like this, and it just becomes part of your video, then your video has a lot more interest than if you're sitting in front of a whiteboard and trying to explain things. And I just think that the universe can aid in any sort of explanation or sharing of information you might have. The squirrel has given us all kinds of information right now. We just need to speak squirrel is all, right? Anyway, so that's why I love being outside. It does take a little bit longer to create some videos now and again, but if you do them in batches of 3, which is something to strive for, then you can actually be a little more efficient. But again, the whole idea is to basically work through the process. You're not trying to like spit out a bunch of AI content. What you're doing is you're working through the content, and the content isn't just something you produce, but it allows you to have so many different realizations by just sharing it and creating it. And it's the process. Again, it's the process, not the destination, right? And that, okay, how's it going? Good. Nice pup.
Thank you.
Yeah. How old?
She just turned 7.
Oh. It's good. Anyway, that's the kind of thing where I usually freeze up in front of people because I don't really like talking in public. But the whole idea is there's a process that you can burn through. There's a trigger you have, like, oh, there's some people that come along. Well, oh, here we go. Here's the sign. Obsidian. Yes, Obsidian. Fine is $500. Court cost is $25. I'm sure the costs have gone up. I think this thing is pretty old. Even this little sliver right here, can't take that. Walking itself is great because it gets you to step outside your mind a bit. And when you start to talk out your script, oftentimes you'll start to go different directions that add to the flavor of everything that you wouldn't get if you were just stuck in a seat. I don't know if you noticed, but when you walk with other people, you tend to talk a bit more, you start to think more. It's like taking a shower. Your ideas are kind of liberated from your mind a little more effectively. Why not take advantage of that by vlogging outside? Now, with traditional teaching, you've got this whole setup. People sit in rows and one person stands in front, probably with a whiteboard, and they sit there and they tell you things. And that model is from long ago, and it was designed with a whole different teaching in mind. Despite all that, there are different people who will actually set up whiteboards and do the traditional method of teaching when we really don't need it anymore. In fact, we're much better off kind of combining the world as it is, because it offers so much to us in terms of what we're able to use. You don't have to sit in front of a whiteboard and write some words and write some images. You've got the world at your disposal, and so no longer are we limited by this idea of teaching. And that's why I think a lot more people should basically embrace vlogging as a way of expounding upon ideas and not have this idea that you're teaching anything. You're exploring the world as we all are. And in the process, you're sharing ideas. And those ideas can help so many other people. Gone are the ideas that you're a guru or that your teacher is more of a guide. We are all here to learn from each other, to bring each other home to who we are and what we're capable of. And the more we embrace the full spectrum of what we have at our disposal in terms of the whole world. I mean, you've got this huge mountain. You've got this huge lake. You've got all these places that you can go. Why on earth would you decide to basically stay inside, sit in front of a whiteboard, and teach in the old ways? Okay, so what about the spiritual side? I mean, how does that work, right? And I really think it comes down to the things you might need to burn through. And I find overall within our society and culture is that we've been silenced, both within our voices and our artistic expressions, which are part of our subconscious, our authentic selves. And if you look, there's a big drive for authenticity. But what does it actually mean? And it's getting to the root of that authenticity. And that comes, more often than not, from the ability to access your real voice, the authentic self. And oftentimes it takes some being to get to that authentic voice. And so in the process of vlogging, you can actually burn through some of that deep programming that's inside you from early childhood onwards. And instead of waiting for the universe to bring all these obstacles to you, you can actually play something intentional, like being on camera and actually using your authentic voice, using your words, the ongoing ability to basically use your voice. Your authentic voice is something that takes practice. And so with vlogging, you can actually delve into it a little bit more deeply. It's a be, do, have, but you're being first and doing at the same time. You go back and forth between relaying on camera a few different things. And in that process, going through the discomfort, the obstacle of finding out, what do I really want to say? What are my real truths rather than what's been programmed? And then each time you do that, then what comes up when you're triggered? And when you are triggered from this, just go, okay, that emotion, that trigger comes up, you allow it to go through you, and then you go, is that really me? And where am I going next, where I can actually utilize a different part of me to express my authentic truth that has been buried by programming? I mean, it's been happening for a long time since you were born. Every different direction, especially with school and culture itself. And so I think in the process of vlogging, when you're sharing different ideas, you not only reclaim those ideas that you really believe in, but you also, through sharing, go deeper. And then in that sharing process, the triggers that come up from maybe not feeling worthy of that share, I think it's when you move past that you start to actually feel more alive, and then it compounds. It's kind of like the idea of going, and let's say you're afraid of heights and you go to the climbing gym. It's the same sort of thing. You're moving through that obstacle and you get stronger. Not only do you burn through that fear of heights, but it also bleeds through other aspects of your life. And I think that's where vlogging and being on camera and telling your story and really just burning through that unworthiness aspect or whatever else comes up, it actually bleeds into the other parts of your life, and you'll find changes that you wouldn't have realized come forth. And so that's my suggestion to you, is go ahead and embrace using the camera as a tool to move through some of these different aspects that may have made you stumble before. And now through the practice of being on camera, you can actually burn through some of these. So that's why I think it really is one of those things where it's not just about being on YouTube. It's not just about being on camera. It's so much more. If this interests you, definitely check out the link in the description. And I've got this actual workshop that you can go through that helps you realize being on camera a lot more easily. It's the process of creating that you burn through so many different things. That's why it's so incredible. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.